meeting by Zoom. So anybody that misses this, they'll be able to join us by Zoom or be able to watch it later. Thank you once again, like I said, for being here. Today is really the last class before we start doing the interview project that we have coming up. And I did post a sign-up sheet on my door. I had sent everybody an email yesterday with regard to the fact that actually there's two sign-up sheets up there. And one sign-up sheet is for the interviews, which is the next 5 days. So let's see, looking at my calendar, March 16th, 21st, 23rd, 28th, and 30th. So the next 5 classes will be the interviews. And then starting in April, I think around April 11th is when we'll start doing the final presentations. So before the end of class, I'm letting more people get signed in here because everybody's a little bit slow getting signed in. So we'll give everybody a little bit of time. I am going to need to have 5 people signed up for the interview process for Thursday. So keeping in mind that my grading is always a lot more generous for the people who sign up on the first day of doing something. Keep that in mind. So by the end of class, I'm going to need to have 5 people signed up for Thursday. All right, now let me do some stuff on my. I'll do that. Okay. Let me go to. I'm looking at here. I had posted a bunch of material on Moodle a little bit earlier today, just some articles that I have been collecting over the past few, I'm in the wrong course here, and over the past few years with regard to tips and tactics for interviewing for a job. And I thought we would spend today going through those tips and things. So the first one that I have here is an article from actually this year, March 8th, 2023 is when it was updated. Give me a second. To Zoom. I'm going to share my screen with you. And let's take a look at this this article here. All right, so title of the article is "This is what a job interviewer first notices about you." So details that interviewers will observe. Okay, so let's talk about the various things that, at least as far as this article is concerned, will help you make that good impression for the interviewing process. First thing that they have listed here is punctuality. And it doesn't matter if it's on the phone, video, or in person, showing up on time is a very important attribute. Keep in mind that what you're doing is you're asking these people to hire you, to give you the job that you are that you want. And basically, this is a sort of a preview to them as to who you are going to be if they hire you. So always being on time for your interview is an absolute must. If you are going to be late for an interview, it's already going to be one strike against you. Obviously, if something happens, there's a terrible traffic accident and you're tied up, giving them a call, everybody has a cell phone, giving the interviewer a call to explain your situation may get you a little bit of leeway, but punctuality is basically the main thing here. Like I said, no matter what type of thing. Video call details. There's a lot of ways that video conferencing can go wrong where you can make a bad impression. Preparation is the key. Let's see. Keep in mind, despite all technical advances, it's hard to connect on video, harder than it is face to face. That's why we don't do these classes routinely online, because it's much better if we do these things in the same room where we have the ability to communicate a little bit better. But then again, this is all part of business communications, and in the world that we live in today, the ability to communicate through Zoom or Teams or whatever is also important. So video call details, make sure you have good lighting. Make sure that your camera is picking you up. My class that I ran at 9:30 this morning, because of the fact that I was in a very big hurry to get that set up, sort of at an emergency situation. I know that my lighting wasn't well. I know that my my computer wasn't working quite as well as it should have been. So I know that I didn't make a real good impression with the way that I started my class at 9:30 this morning. So just different things that they talk about that you might want to do if you're going to be involved in a lot of video interviewing and such. They suggest you invest in a ring light. Ring light, I don't know if you haven't seen these. These are circular lights in which the camera goes into the middle of, and it provides a lot of nice general lighting on you while you're on your video call. Consider your voice. Make sure that you have a good microphone. Make sure that people can hear you clearly. All right. Beyond that, look at your environment. If you're on screen, remember that your background is important. Right now, I have my background set for a space theme. Under Zoom, there's a choice of a number of backgrounds that I could have chosen. And I like this one in particular. I could have blurred out the background so that you couldn't see any of the things that are back there. But if I didn't, stop sharing for a second. Give me 1 second. Here's my background. You know, if I didn't have my background set, you would be looking at my bookcase behind me and a doorway behind that. So try and keep in mind that your background is important. Let's go back to sharing. Make sure that you tidy up. Make sure that whatever is going to be in the screen is not going to be embarrassing. Background is better if it's clear personal items, which can make your environment look cluttered. Once again, this is all about trying to make a good impression on the interviewer. So do those types of things. Make sure they have your full attention. Stay focused. Are you monotasking? Are you a habit tasker? Are you doing things at the last minute? What you should be doing is they should have your full attention. You should be entirely focused on the interview itself. You can certainly take a sip of water during a call. Drinking plenty of water in the preceding 24 hours is probably a good idea. Then you don't come across as being very thirsty. Make sure you've done your research. Now, we're going to go through a lot of these tips today, and you're going to find that researching the company is a very important part of this. It tells a lot to the interviewer. If you show up at the interview or show up on video for the interview and you are not prepared, you don't know anything about the company, you don't know very much about the job, you don't know very much about what the job entails, that doesn't leave a good impression. This is all about making a good first impression. You can only make a first impression once. You do the research before the interview. If I'm going to be interviewing with Ford for a job in their finance department, then I had better know who Ford is. Well, Ford is one of the big three United States automakers. I know that. I know that they've been around for a very long time, founded by Henry Ford. But what do I know about the job that they are advertising? Entry-level financial analyst. Let's say that that's the job that I've applied for. What does that mean? What does a person like that do? They're going to ask me, why do you want this job? I have to have an answer for that. I have to have done the research. I have to know what it is that I'm applying for. Why do I qualify for this job? Why do I feel that that I should receive this job? Oh, I think I should have this job because I'm a graduate of Thiel College, and I graduated with a 3.5 average. I was on Dean's List 6 out of the 8 semesters that I was in college. And so therefore I should have this job. Yeah, but what do you know about this job? I'm sorry, what? What do you mean? Well, what do you know about this job? Why do you believe that you can handle this job? You don't even know what the job is. So you should, first off, before you apply for a job, you should know what the job is all about, so you can try to determine whether you're qualified for the job. Oh, it's a nursing job. You're looking for somebody in the nursing department. I guess my business degree is not going to do not going to make me a very good candidate. Okay, so just things like that. So reading from the article here, I've interviewed thousands of people, and my preferred style is stress interviewing, Burr says, which can include uncomfortable or intimidating questions that create an awkward or stressful environment. Examples of questions might include, how do you feel this interview is going? How many other jobs are you applying for? Tell me about a time when your work was criticized. Stress interviewing lets the interviewer know how well you've handled pressure. Okay. If you've done your research, then you should be able to handle a stress question. How do you present yourself? It's what we wear, what we say, how we say it. All these things hang together and tell a story about our brand. The effect is immediate upon meeting. You can set the stage for your brand before even saying hello. Here's a hiring secret they won't tell you. Companies are paying attention. Be mindful of cultivating your brand online and offline. Ensure that it's an authentic reflection of who you are and what you value. Most progressive companies are less concerned about what you wear to the interview, but it's unwise to balance authenticity and respect. So what you wear to the interview should be driven by the company culture. How do you know this if you haven't researched it? Okay. When in doubt, err on the side of dressing better. Confidence. The first impression that you make is going to be your confidence. How do you shake hands? How do you greet the people? How confident are you? Are you sitting up straight? Are you standing up straight? If you're in person, are you shaking their hands? Or did you give them a nice good grip on your handshake? So those are some things that show your confidence. Look the interviewer in the eye. Always make eye contact. When you're talking to somebody, make eye contact with them. If you're not making eye contact, they are concerned about why you're not making eye contact. Energy. The energy that you show is also going to be something that's going to be a good first impression. You want to be excited about the job. You want to make sure that you have curiosity. You want to be willing to take the job. You want to be willing. You should. I think this also goes very hand in hand with confidence. Okay, don't be the person who is just very laid back. Don't be leaning back in the chair and answering questions with one-word answers. No, you want to make sure that you're answering with confidence, with all kinds of energy. Why do you want to work here? Well, I've always respected Ford Motor Company as a business. The fact that you've been around for over 100 years, and many times Ford was at the very forefront of technology and transportation. I know that during the war that you blah, 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 blah. During COVID, whatever, know some things about the company and make sure that you have that energy, that you're pushing, how strong and how excited that you are. Sell your skills, okay? Now, on your resume, you're going to have all of your experiences. And this is something that I've been talking about a lot during the semester, okay? Your resume talks about your experiences. It tells us where you've worked. It tells us what school you went to. It tells us what your degree is. It tells us what your certifications are. What you want to be able to show in the interview are what they call the soft skills, communications. What else would be a soft skill? Asking former colleagues what they really valued about it. Do a self-assessment. Think about key things that have helped you in your career. How have you built trust with your previous bosses? Have you built trust with your coworkers? Have you succeeded? Talk passionately about these things. You have to explain what's wonderful about you. No one gets points for being humble in an interview. I am very good at interpersonal communications. I have communication skills on both an oral and written level. I believe that's just, and then if you can show examples of that. At my last job, I was responsible for coordinating meetings and doing this and doing that. It was your job to communicate with everybody, get their input on how and when to do the various things. That also you can also talk about organization. If organization is one of your skills, talk about that. Also talk about your ability to what else would be a soft skill? Time management. We often talk about time management. You guys were all in college. You're all involved in some sort of an activity. We professors don't make it easy on you, do we? We give you homework. We force you to be prepared for classes and things like that. You've also got coaches that are really pushing you to accomplish certain things and be in certain places. In order to be successful at all of the things that you want to take on, you have to be very good at managing your time. So feel free to do that. Feel free to talk about those soft skills. Those are very important. You also have to have the ability to read the room, okay? What are the people that you're talking to? What are their concerns? What are their personalities? I'm not saying that I want you to be somebody who's fake, but what you want to do is you want to be able to communicate with the people that are there and make a connection with them, okay? Are they people who are very formal? Let's go back to when we started talking about knowing your audience. And I talked about generations and things like that. Who's in the room? Is it a boomer? Is it a millennial? Is it Generation X? Who are you interviewing with? Okay. Baby boomers are starting to age out of this. I don't know how many baby boomers are doing interviews anymore. So now you may have millennials or Gen X that are doing the interviews. What are their methods of communicating? What is their attitude? What are the things that are important to them? Try to make that connection. Try to figure out who your audience is. Try to find out what's important to them. Talk about the things that are interesting to them. Okay, so that's the first interview, the first article. Making that good first impression, okay? So what do we take from that? What are some important things? Well, let's see. How you dress is important. You should understand and know what is expected of you. If they're expecting you to be dressed in business formal, I'm not saying a tuxedo, but if they're expecting you, if you're a guy, to be wearing a suit and a tie, then you better do that. For women, it's a business suit. Women, the proper attire for a woman. Understand what their expectation is. Make sure you greet the interviewer, shake their hand, Give them a nice firm shake, but not, obviously don't try to hurt them. That's not what this is all about. Read the room, sell your soft skills, be prepared. Have you make sure you've done your research. Okay, so those are the first things that I think are important in this particular article. So, all right, that's not bad. Let's go on to another one. Right. The next one that I have posted for today are 7 golden rules to a successful interview when applying for an internship. Okay, so let's go to that one. Give me a second to get that shared with you. Okay, 7 golden rules of a successful interview. So if you're looking for an internship, this is a different level of stress than looking for your forever job, right? The stakes are high, but not unbearably high. You want to try and find a good fit. You want to find an internship that will give you something that you will be interested in. You want to be able to get some experiences that will make you more attractive in the job market as you move forward, those types of things. All right, so first off, find the right internship, right? Find one that's is going to actually benefit you. Okay, study the company well. I said we're going to have this be a constant theme in what we're talking about for the interviewing process. You need to do your research. It's important to find out what the company does. What's its values? What's its mission? What's its vision? Analyze the company to see if there's anything particularly interesting about their activities or values. Okay, make sure you do that research. Show confidence. Also, once you've managed to get the interview, you should be relaxed and confident. If a handshake that's too weak or too strong, eye contact during an interview. You find this difficult, try to fix your gaze on a space between their eyebrows so it won't be obvious you're avoiding eye contact. An open and sincere smile. Don't move your hands too much or cross your arms. I've never really spent any time on this, but there is a certain science of body language. And there's, if you have your arms crossed across your chest, it basically makes it look like you're closed off and you're not approachable. You should be sitting with your arms open, your hands on the table, not necessarily clenched in fists or anything like that, but pay attention to your body language. What is it saying? Are you saying that you're nervous? Are you saying that you are closed off? Or are you saying that you're open and you're inviting and you are curious? Okay, make eye contact. If you can't, stare at their eyebrows. Be sure of your qualifications without talking too much. I know that there have been times in my career where I have made the mistake of talking too much. Answer the questions that they ask of you, answer them completely, but don't wander off the topic. Try to make sure that you stay within the parameters of what they've asked you. If they ask you something that's very broad and open-ended, then I guess you have to decide where the end of that is. But if they say, well, tell us about your last position, and your last position, let's say, was as a cashier at Walmart. Well, then tell them about that. Say, well, my last position was as a cashier at Walmart, and although I don't want to make a career out of that, I do believe that it was an important part of my maturing into the workforce. I had to have some experience with customer service, and obviously being a cashier, I was constantly having an interface with the customer and dealing with customer complaints or customer attitudes, trying to make sure that they were They were happy with the company. I enjoyed the job. I felt that it was a worthwhile effort on my part. And obviously I took the job because I needed the money at the time. And so it was a good win-win situation. I was paid, I was able to earn the money that I needed. And I also believe that I took some experiences that made me a better person. Okay, good. Stop there. We don't need to hear about how the cashiers that you worked with were terrible and you hated working with them. No. Make sure you stay pretty close to the point of what you're talking about, but don't go the other direction. Are you you're applying for the job here as an accounting intern at Ford Motor Company? Where did you hear about this job? Saw it on Indeed.com. Oh, and why are you interested in Ford? Because it's an internship. Oh no, you have to give us more than that, right? So you have to find that nice in between. Stammering, looking at the floor, or being too synthetic when talking about your own abilities. Insecurity, be aware of those things. Number 3, be flexible and ready to adapt. Internships are about the ability to take on information and apply it. You'll be given clearly defined tasks and observed while you carry them out. You're expected eventually to take some initiative and work tasks you can do on your own without being told. Make sure that they're aware that you have the ability to take instruction. You have the ability to be managed. That you do have the ability to open your mind and understand when you should be taking the initiative. Talk about those things, okay? A firm will want to see a desire to learn, a willingness to change, enthusiasm for working with them. With an internship, they're not necessarily looking for a lot of previous work experience. Maybe a positive thing, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to explain why you fit into the culture, why you chose that particular job to apply for that internship, and that you are able to learn and be trained. I like this one. Prepare to discuss what's not on your resume. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us something that's not on your resume. Tell us about your interests. I guess you have to be careful how you do this, right? Because if you are too broad, you could be giving them information that you don't want them to have. You don't want them to know all of the various things they're not supposed to ask. They're not supposed to ask your specific age. They're not supposed to ask your marital status. They're not supposed to ask if you have children. They're not supposed to ask, are you planning on having children? You have to be aware of the things that you're talking about, but you also want to share something about yourself. Okay. Blanco said that that in interviews, he likes to ask interns about their personal interests so he can get to know them better. And if they talk about them with a passion, it's a sign they can transfer that energy into any area of their life, including work. Okay, so expect those types of questions that are not going to be directly on the about your resume. Play to your strengths. They're not looking for work experience, but now they're looking at your education, learning ability, and adaptability. Highlight those types of your skills. So tell us about your education. Well, I'm a junior at Thiel College, majoring in accounting. I've done well in my accounting classes, and I really do believe that the accountant is the backbone of a company. I really love to have the opportunity to have an internship working with your company where I would have the ability to do some accounting work. Well, okay, great. What is it that you want to learn? You have to have some sort of an idea as to what you want out of it, okay? So they're talking about your ability to learn. All right, we want to teach you. Tell us what you want to learn. Be prepared to answer a question like that. How adaptable are you? Gee, you know, we the internships that we offer here are not straight accounting interns. They're business internships. What we tend to do is we tend to hire business majors and we rotate them during the internship through a couple of the departments. Yes, you'll spend some time in the accounting department, but you'll also spend some time in the sales department. You'll also spend some time in the, I don't know, pick another department. You know, they could talk about that. Well, are you still interested in this internship? Well, okay. Can you be adaptable? Can you go from place to place? If that's what they're looking for, then theoretically you should be able to do that. Prepare a list of skills, not being too general. Going to be concrete things that you can talk about. If you're asked about weaknesses, try to avoid the typical. I'm a perfectionist. Give more natural answers. Show a more human side. We all have flaws. It's not a bad thing to identify them and try to correct them. Find one of your flaws that you want to talk about. I've had trouble with let's see, prioritization. Sometimes I've had a problem prioritizing which is the most important task to accomplish first. However, now I've been trying to correct that flaw by making sure that when I get an assignment from my boss, I ask if there's a deadline, how strict is that deadline, those types of things, and then I can schedule my life. You know, I talked about the fact that I have the ability to manage my time. Well, that's what this is all about. I'm learning to manage my time better by learning how to prioritize better. So, okay, am I going to refuse to hire you because you tell me you have a problem with prioritizing things? No, especially since you told me that you're trying to fix it. Take care of your clothes, dress code and social networks, interviews over the phone, practice your phone smile. If this is an in-person interview, make sure that you dress appropriately. This is something we saw prior to now, right? So we're seeing a lot of things that are important in the various places that's various sources. Research was important. Taking care of your clothes, your appearance. This is the second time we've been talking about appearance today. Make sure that you dress for the occasion. Best is a neutral type of attire, not too flashy nor too somber. Don't wear too much makeup. You want them to be looking at your capability for the job, not your visual impacts.
Professor, I actually have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So for the interview Thursday, you're not requiring us to dress up, are you?
I am not.
Okay. And
yeah.
Is it going to be the same position that everyone is interviewing for, or would you like us to email you kind of?
No, what I would like each of you to do is I'd like you to each pick a company and then pick a job with that company. You know, realistically, if you want to choose a local company, if you're an accounting student, you could choose one of the local CPA firms. That would be easy enough to put together. I kind of am hoping that many of you will choose to make the job an interview for an internship or a job with the company that you chose for your final project with your Fortune 500 company, Nike or Microsoft or whoever. Just choose the company and then choose the position that you're applying for. So for example, entry-level accountant at Ford Motor Company. So then, you know, I'd be able to ask you questions about, because I have a certain amount of knowledge about Ford, I could ask you a certain amount of things about the company. And certainly I could ask you questions that relates to a position as an accountant. So those are the two things I'm looking for. Basically, identify the company and identify the job that you're applying for. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good enough. All right. Although number 7 here, it doesn't appear to be something that really is a thing that I directly relates to the interview process. Make use of a mentoring scheme and use your LinkedIn profile. A lot of people are using LinkedIn as methods of showcasing their skills and whatnot. LinkedIn profiles can be searched. And also there's, so you can research the LinkedIn profile of the people who are interviewing you. Gives them a chance to take a look at you if you have a LinkedIn profile ahead of the interview. Mentoring, if you know anybody that has had a job with that particular company in the past, that might be a great thing to look into, so you'll know whether they what are they looking for? Why were you successful in getting that internship when other people weren't? Well, I think I got the job because. So having experiences from other people is a great thing. It's not always available to you if you are applying for a job with Microsoft and you don't know anybody that's ever worked for Microsoft. Then I don't know about a mentoring side, but certainly you can go through LinkedIn and find some information about the various people that you are going to be dealing with. So, all right, here's another one. I thought this one was kind of cute. One of the questions that you are probably going to get in the interview is, why should we hire you? What makes you special that we should hire you instead of the other 100 people that have applied for this job? Almost every candidate will answer the question by praising themselves, not necessarily the best approach. Find some middle ground. You don't want to come across as arrogant, but you don't want to hide your good qualities. Don't say you're the best. Explain why you love the job. It's not about telling the recruiter that you're the smartest or the best. Here's 4 answers you could give when faced with the question, why should we hire you? Number 1, from what I understand about the job, it's a position that requires a lot of fast activity during the day. And that's the kind of job that I thrive in. I like to stay busy. I like to wear a lot of hats. Is my assessment of the environment on target? I don't know that I'd say it quite that way, but if you have found something interesting or that you like about the job and you believe that you have a good fit for that particular aspect, okay? So if it's a job that would require a certain amount of creativity. Now, we're not going to talk about accountants now, right? Creativity is not a good thing in accounting, but let's say that you were hiring on for something in their marketing department. Would creativity be something that is a good thing for that particular job? Yeah, I would think so. So if they start talking about the job, it's going to be an entry-level position in their marketing department. And they talked about the various duties as being responsive to the more senior people in the department, and yet taking part in brainstorming sessions to come up with new ideas. All right, so why should we pick you? Well, one of the things that it seems is a very important part of this job is to be creative, to be able to come up with ideas, to be able to know what we're going to do, what we should be doing, to come up with a vision for the future. I do believe that I'm a creative person. Am I right? Is creativity a big part of this job? Okay, you can answer that way. Number 2, what if I share my impression of the role and see if I've got a good handle on it? Is that okay? Great. Well, it seems this job is connected to the inventory system and your parts number database. Okay, so maybe just try to summarize back to them what you believe the job is. Okay, it's you're going to be an entry-level accountant at a CPA firm, and you know that during the first year that they're going to want you to do taxes during tax season. They're going to want you to participate in audits, those types of things. So you would say, okay, now let me see if I've got the job down right here. Basically, the majority of the year I'll be participating in audits, and of course the audits will be run by the senior members of the audit team, and I'll be doing a lot of the number crunching and a lot of the communications and such as that. And then during tax season, I'll be required to do taxes. I do think that that's a great blend for somebody directly out of college and first job as an accountant. Is that really what, do I have a handle on that properly? Is that what it's really going to be about? Because that's the type of thing that I absolutely love. Okay. Why should I hire you? Because you love the job. It sounds like your new hire will go to weekly production meetings and make sure that every part you require for next week's production schedule is on hand. That isn't to fix the problem. When suppliers switch out parts or renumber them, this person will make sure the database gets updated. And they cover the most important points. Okay. 3, honestly, I'd have a hard time saying truthfully, you should hire me, because you're going to meet or already met other candidates. And of course, I haven't met them. I would only say that I'm excited about the company, its prospects. I've been working in inventory control and production planning successfully, and I love it. And if I seem like the right person for the job, I'd be excited to continue the conversation. I guess this is the humble approach. Why should we hire you? Well, I don't know. I don't know who the other candidates that I'm competing against are, but I can say that I really love the particular parts of the job, blah, 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 so going down that road. That's sort of a humble position in the, that can actually end up hurting you if you're too humble. But number 4, earlier in our conversation, you mentioned it's a challenge keeping parts on hand for products you only build in small quantities. My last job, I set up a system of suppliers for our low quality parts, blah, 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 blah. So what he's doing, he's trying to equate some of his particular experiences with the requirements that he's seen for the job. So why should I hire you? Well, let's say that you're going for the entry-level accounting position at a CPA firm. Why should we hire you? Well, knowing that the job is going to entail audit work and tax work. During my internship with XYZ firm, I actually have a lot of experience in those areas. I participated in 3 audits during the time that I was with XYZ, and I did spend an entire tax season preparing personal income taxes as well as small corporate returns. I'd like to have experience in partnerships and other entities, but I do believe that I have a nice base of experience and knowledge in those areas. Something along that line, okay? So you shouldn't be answering, well, why should we hire you for this job? Because I believe that I'm the best person that you're going to ever see. I believe that once you hire me, that I'll end up in charge of the department in no less than 5 years. I'm a very aggressive, ambitious person, and my knowledge of accounting is unequal. Okay, nice that you have confidence in yourself, but I don't know that that's at all useful. Okay. I'm gonna do this one next. Questions to ask at the end of the interview. Okay, now, another one of the things that I had said that should happen in the interview is that at the end of the interview, or maybe not even at the end, maybe sometime, in the center of the interview, God knows what they're going to do. You should have questions prepared to ask the interviewer, okay? When they get to the end of the interview and they say, now, do you have any questions for us? And you say, no, I don't have any questions. I think we've pretty much covered everything. That's not going to be a good answer. Okay. Once again, they're going to be looking at you and trying to decide whether you're really a good fit for them. Are you really interested in this particular position? Are you really fit? Are you a good fit for this position? I don't know the answer. They don't know the answer. They are judging you. They want to know that you've done your homework. They want to know that you are excited and interested in the interview. So you have to have a couple of questions lined up. Have them ready to go when you go into the interview. It shouldn't be something that you come up with at the interview. Obviously, if something comes up that you are confused about and you want to ask a question about it, you do that. But you have to have something loaded and ready to go. Okay. All right. So here's 35 questions that this particular article talks about. Company specific questions. How would you describe the company's culture? What's the working environment in this department? Is it teamwork? Is it individual work? You can ask those types of questions. Turn the tables on the interviewer. What's your favorite thing about working for this company? Okay. As the interviewer, I've been here for X number of years, 10 years. I've been here for 10 years. Why? Why do you work for this company? What do you like about it? What keeps you here? What's the company going to do in the next 5 years? I don't know how much of an answer you get to that, because the person that is interviewing you may not be the type of person who has access to the overall structural strategy of the company. You can ask it, but I don't know that that's necessarily a great one. How do you think the company defines and demonstrates its values? You want to demonstrate to the interviewer you researched the company and want to know how it will align with your own values. Shows that you are proactively trying to gain a certain level of understanding about the internal workings of the company. Okay. All right, you can ask that. What qualities and attributes make for a successful employee in the company? What are you looking for in the successful employee? Is there anything that I could have, anything that I can do to make myself a better candidate? What would you suggest? What advice would you give me going forward to make myself a better, a more attractive candidate? Who do you consider your top competitor? Who are you fighting with? Obviously, if you are interviewing with Coca-Cola, you know this answer. Pepsi, right? If you're interviewing with Pepsi, it's Coca-Cola. So maybe you don't ask who the competitor is, but you talk about what the company is doing to try to compete with that major competitor. What are the biggest challenges the company is facing right now? That would be an interesting one to ask, because we're post-COVID right now. There's still COVID lingering out there. We still have some people that have concerns about it. We are not fully recovered from the supply chain fiasco of COVID. And we have employment issues out there. Companies are having difficulty finding people to fill certain jobs. What are your challenges? I think they could answer that one easily enough. How is the company addressing those challenges? I would hope that the person wouldn't just give you a list of challenges, but also talk about what they're trying to do. What do you think encourages employees to stay at the company? Talk about employee retention. Do employees tend to stay at these jobs? Is there a churning in the employment? Do you have people that are only around for a few years at a time, or do you have people that stick around for long periods of time? That would be an interesting question. Role-specific questions. Can you elaborate on the day-to-day responsibilities of this job? Okay, that's a legitimate question. I want to know what I'm going to be doing. If you're going to be my supervisor, very likely the person that you're interviewing with, you should have somebody from the department there at the interview. They should know what the job entails, and they should be able to explain to you what you would be required to do on a day-to-day basis. Who would I report to? Who would be my boss? Is it going to be the person who's interviewing you, or is it going to be somebody else? If it's going to be somebody else, will I have the opportunity to meet that person before the interview process is completed? That's actually a very good question, because just as they want to know if your personality is going to be the one that they want to have to deal with, are you a likable person and they want to hire you, you'll fit into their family, so to speak. You kind of want to know, want to meet the person and make a determination about the personality of the person you will be reporting to. So I think that's a really good question. How will I collaborate with my supervisor? Is this a remote job? Are we going to be doing Zoom? Are we going to be doing a lot of emails? Am I going to be in the office and we're going to have weekly meetings? What do you think is the most challenging aspect of the job? What does the ideal candidate for the job look like? What do you think are the most important qualities for the person for this role to possess? Beyond technical skills, what soft skills do you think will serve the company best? It'd be interesting. Is communications, the ability to write, the ability to talk, the ability to do data analytics? Is it prioritization? Is it punctuality? Is it something like that? Is this a new position? If not, what happened to the person who was here before me? Oh, they quit? Where did they go? Why did they quit? Oh, they were promoted? That's a good answer, because that means that there's upward movement in the company, and that's something that you want to see. How have people previously succeeded? How has the position evolved? What are your expectations for the role during the first 30 to 60 days? How do you evaluate success? That's a pretty cool question. I'm going to be taking this job and I want to make sure that I'm successful in this job. What are the things that you really are looking for that I need to be able to accomplish? Is there a typical career path? If I start at this job, am I going to end up getting promoted to other positions? If I'm going to be starting in this entry-level role, will I eventually move up to a lower supervisory level in the same department? Are there opportunities to move to other positions outside into other departments in the company? What is the normal career path? That's an interesting one. How do I compare with other candidates you've interviewed? It's a tough question. Do you have any hesitations about my qualifications? So basically, if they think that you have a weakness in some place, this would give you another opportunity to try and solidify your qualifications in an area where they think you're weak. That's probably a very good question. Have I answered all of your questions? That's kind of crazy. Wrap-up questions. What is your timeline? What's the next step? Okay, that's legitimate. You want to know how long they're planning on taking before they make a decision. You know, if you're in the interviewing process and they tell you, yeah, we really want to fill this position pretty quickly here. So realistically, we're probably going to be finishing up our interviewing in the next week. And so we'll be making our decision and making an offer to the successful candidate at the end of the following week. So in 2 weeks, we'll make our decision. Next step is that we would send a letter out. We would contact that person by phone to make sure they were still interested in the job, blah, 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 blah. Do you need me to clarify or elaborate anything regarding my suitability? Okay. Is there anything else I can provide to help you with your decision? Has this company changed your original career path? Since most people love to talk about themselves, give the interviewer the chance to engage in a conversation about their own experiences. That would be interesting, I guess, because if a person came in thinking that they wanted to be an accountant, but because of the structure of the company ended up in a different role and found out that they really enjoyed that role, that would be an interesting question. I don't know. I guess it's for making a connection with the interviewer. What's one of the most interesting projects you've worked on here? Uh, 32, what's been your best moment at this company? That'll be interesting. Once again, give the interviewer a chance to talk about himself. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's kind of a turning the tables on the interviewer. Is there anyone else I should meet with? It's an interesting question, because if they felt that you needed to meet with that person, they should have made arrangements to make that happen. It's not like you can go out and arrange that. Are there any other important aspects of the job that we haven't covered? I guess you could ask that, but once again, I don't know that that gives you a particularly good answer. Are there any other important aspects? Oh, gee, thank you for reminding me. We forgot about your second most important task that you would be doing. No, that's not going to happen. You know, they're not going to have screwed this up to the point where they don't know what they're doing. So I don't I don't think that that's a good question, but, so there's 35 of them. You may want to load a couple of them in your interview packet there and be ready with that for when you are going to be interviewed. I'm going to stop sharing again. I do have another one out there, but you can take a look at that. What is it? The other one out there is tips on acing your interview. What's on that one? Research the company, practice and prepare ahead of time, show up on time, do your best to remain calm, be genuine and positive, follow up promptly. We haven't talked about that, but, and we're not going to make that part of what we're doing, but there's also the follow-up process here. You should make sure that you get the email address of the people that you have been interviewing with, and make sure that you send them a thank you email. If not the same day, no later than the next day, thanking them for the opportunity to interview with the company, and thanking them specifically for their time in talking to you. That's a thing that a lot of people are very cognizant of. Have you sent me a thank you note? Do you follow up? Are you appreciative? Make sure you're the type of person that we do want to have in here. So, all right, so that's going to be everything that I want to talk about with regard to the interview process, tips and suggestions for how to do it. So basically, if you want to make yourself an outline, be on time. Make sure that your appearance is appropriate for what is expected of you. For the interviewing process in the class, I'm not requiring you to dress up, but I would appreciate it if you were neat and awake, not wearing pajamas, that type of thing. Do some research on the company so that you know enough about the company so that you can ask intelligent questions. Make sure that you're prepared to talk about the things that are on your resume. Make sure that you're prepared to talk about the soft skills that may not necessarily be on the resume. What is your ability to communicate? Can you write? Can you speak? Are you organized? Are you able to be time efficient? Can you prioritize things? Be prepared to share things about yourself without sharing too much. So, who are you? What do you do outside of school and work? Well, be prepared to talk about the things that are interesting to you. If you are somebody that loves to fish, then I want to hear a fishing story. If you're somebody that loves to play golf, I want to hear about a golf experience. I want to know where you golf. If you play softball, if you bowl, whatever your interests are, talk to me about it. It's one of those things that if you have an interest that is kind of off the beaten path, that might be one to bring up. Okay. So, for example, I keep bees, something that I started doing in 2015 and managed to keep bees for about 4 years until I killed them all by making some sort of mistake. And I'm starting up my beehives again this year. So what do you do outside of work and school? Well, I keep bees. How many people do you think they're going to talk to that day that are going to have that particular hobby? Think maybe you'll stand out a little bit. They'll have a little bit more memory of you because you were doing something that was so unusual. Better be ready to answer questions about it. Oh, you keep bees? Yeah, I do. Well, how many hives do you have? Well, I just have the 2. It's one of those things where I don't want it to be a big operation. It's not about making money. It's about having honey to have for my own purposes and to give to my family and friends. It's an interesting thing to watch. Blah 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 blah. Be prepared to talk about your hobby. If you have one that's unusual, a little bit off the beaten track, talk about it. Be the person that they're going to remember. Okay. I'm not telling you to go out and find weird hobbies, but be memorable, I guess, is the advice that I would give you. All right, one other thing. No, I don't have access to that. Okay, I do need, as part of our housekeeping here, I do need 5 people that are ready to go with the first interview day, which will be Thursday. So, do I have 5 volunteers?
I'll go third on Thursday.
You'll go third on Thursday? Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right. Connor, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go 5th because I don't know how long I'll be at work. So
Okay. That's 2. I need 3 more. I got to at least get 2 people in front of Isaac. Patrick says I'll go on Thursday, doesn't matter when. Okay, so Patrick,
Big Cade, you signing up for Thursday?
That
I
was-
can go.
okay, Cade, great. And if I can have 1 more, I'd appreciate it. That way, I don't know if anybody has bothered to go to the sign-up sheet on my door. Please take the time to go and sign up. You guys that are signing up for Thursday, if you can put your name on there so we make sure that you have your names, I'd appreciate it. But if you don't, that's fine. I've got your names written down here. 1 more person. 1 more person. Gianna, what about you? You always seem like somebody who's always prepared.
I can try, sure.
Okay. All right, so we have our 5 for Thursday: Patrick, Cade, Isaac, Gianna, and Connor. And like I said, all I really need you to do is to pick a company and pick a position. You'll have to tell us that as we start the interview or before we start the interview. And I will also have prepared a worksheets for everybody that's not preparing or not presenting. Matter of fact, even if you are presenting, you will be required to do scoring. But remember, we had already decided on the rubric, so I'm going to prepare sheets for everybody to use to fill those out. And remember, you guys will be getting points for doing the scoring. So we're in that part of the semester where you get 10 points for participating in the scoring. So unless there's any questions, that's really all I have for today. Take a look at those articles that I have. I did post them out on Moodle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like 5 articles that you could look at for various pieces of information. Particularly look at the one that talks about questions that you should ask the interviewer. Be prepared to ask interviews at the end. Do a little bit of research on the company so you know what they do. If you choose a Fortune 500 company, understand that I probably know a little bit about the company, so I'll be able to ask you some legitimate questions. Be prepared. I'm looking forward to this. This is a fun part of the semester, and we're on a downhill side, right? I think with counting today, we had 13 more classes. So, going to be fun. All right, if nothing else, then we'll just call it a day. Connor?
yeah, I do have a quick question. I know just because like what I want to do is for like Department of Defense stuff. So
Yeah.
is that okay if I still do Department of Defense Office of Inspector General, even though it's
Yeah.
not a part of like typical Fortune 500 companies?
Yeah, no. Do the Inspector General. That's fine.
All right, okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you have a particular goal, use this as a warm up. You know, it's just pick a company and Connor, I think it'll be great to use the DoD, and I'll do my damnedest to be a government official.
All right, that works. Thank you.
Good. All right, if there's nothing else, we'll call it a day, and we'll see you guys on Thursday.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Professor,
Yes, sir.
I won't be in class on Thursday. I have to go out of town.
Okay,
This is I have a flight on Wednesday evening, so I won't be in class Thursday.
okay.
And I also have you for risk and insurance management too. So do you need me to send you an email or anything?
On Thursday, it's not like we just had a test in risk, so there's nothing important there.
Okay.
Today we're going to finish off chapter 14, which is the professional estate planning or financial planning. And
Okay.
we'll start the personal auto policy. My guess is that on Thursday, we'll still be on the personal auto policy.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Hey, I got a question.
Yes, Rayshawn.
I had missed class last week, and
Yes.
we had that assignment that was due. It had 3 parts to it.
Yeah, the 3-part writing assignment. Yep.
Yeah. I didn't really know how to do it, and that was the reason why I ain't submitted, but I wasn't in class,
Okay.
and I wanted to know, could I get like an understanding, like if I was able to like
Yeah, submit it and I'll grade
Turn it
it.
in.
I'll give you points. Yeah, that's not an issue. I need to calculate a grade for midterms, so it ends up with nothing in there. I had to put a 0, but I'm certainly happy to take anything that you want to submit and I'll grade it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could I get like an understanding of like what's going on?
What it is, yeah. The 3 types
overall?
of writing, basically, it's 3 different things. One is a memo, and we did discuss the format of the memo. So it's just a memo across the top, and then 2 from, regarding, and then date, and then it has a body to it. You were supposed to, according to the fact situation, you're supposed to do a memo to your boss. The boss wants to run a conference, and he's chosen Atlanta for the location. You don't want to do Atlanta. You want to pick a different location. So you want to send a memo to your boss trying to persuade him to move the conference to someplace other than Atlanta.
Okay.
Then after that, it's a formal business letter. So you have to use the formal format that we use with your letterhead and all that. And then that would be a letter to the people who you're inviting to the conference. So basically you have to give them the specifics of where and what, and a lot of those specifics are in the fact situation. So just take a look at the fact situation. And then the
Okay.
third type of writing is just an informal memo, because one of the people that's being invited is a friend of yours, and you just want to make a personal appeal to them. Hey, I'm going to be there. Hopefully you'll be able to, blah, blah, blah. Just so 3 different formats: the memo, the formal business letter, and an email.
Okay.
So yeah,
Is it a certain length for like?
The memo should be 1 page. The
Okay.
formal business letter should be 1 page. And then, the email should be, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Just take a look at the fact situation. It should explain it pretty well.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem, Rishon.
All right.
Bye-bye.